so far, not so good. So Skylar and I were just saying we did definitely kind of pick the wrong morning to do this, just because it is a really cold morning. I say really cold. For California, it's a cold morning. I think it's like 35 degrees right now or something like that. But so for us, that's pretty chilly. And for this old gal, that is a cold morning to try and start on. So how this engine works is it actually starts on gasoline. And so right here, so you can see right here, this is the injector pump for the diesel. So we got the injectors up here, so that's the diesel. And then over here, we've got our spark plugs and we've got our carburetor. There's a lever that we have, and we'll start it in this position. And that means that it switched over to the gas side. Once it's started, the gas engine started and it's running, we will switch that plate over and it will start running on diesel. We are gonna make sure it's got its diesel, it's got its gas. We'll hook a battery up to it and see if we can get her going. Well, so far it's a no-go. So we were able to get enough juice to it using the golf cart and the Polaris. We hooked up the batteries in sequence so that we got, 24 or more volts. And so it was getting enough power, getting enough juice to turn over, and it was cranking. And this thing has always been a temperamental beast to start. But we could tell it seemed like it wasn't firing on all cylinders. And so I was feeling around on the spark plug cables, and one of the cables, number 4 cylinder cable, felt loose. So when I pulled it, it completely broke the covering off. And when we did that, we noticed that the spark plug itself, the little cap that this plugs onto, screwed off, and we can't find it anywhere. So we're gonna go get a new spark plug, and hopefully that'll help out and get it firing on all cylinders. Because even before I pulled this off, you could tell it was loose on there. Well, we got back from Napa, and check these things out. These are old. so we got it running. This is the lever right here that switches it between gas and diesel. So yeah, you have to push all the way down to start it on gas. And then when you're ready to go, you push the throttle up and it switches this, it pulls this lever up and then gives it the RPMs that it needs. So we're gonna go ahead and push it up. Right now, this pulled back, the clutch is disengaged. So right here, we'll push it forward, the clutch is engaged, put it in gear, pull back, it's engaged. Too tight on the asphalt. I'll wait till I get into this gravel. I'll get in the gravel and I'll use a foot brake. So I'm pulling back with my hand and pushing the brake so I can move. Take it out of gear. And there we go. So I'm not sure if I even really talked about this thing that much. So this is a 1949, I believe, International TD-14. My grandpa didn't buy this brand new. He bought this, I think, in the 1970s. And he completely rebuilt it. I think he's actually rebuilt it twice. They quit kind of using it probably in the 80s or so. When we quit doing any crops, we just strictly stayed with cattle pasture. And then my dad started doing the poultry business, so we didn't really need to use any tractors anymore for that kind of stuff. So this kind of just sat around. And then when we planted the orchards, we had to keep the ground flat. And the only way we could do that when we first started out was by disking up the ground and then floating it out. We didn't really have a tractor that could pull this disc. We were like, hey, well, we're gonna have to pull out this International TD-14. So it had been sitting for probably 15 years, 20 years. And we threw some gas in it, threw some diesel in it, changed the oil, cleaned the air filter on it, put some water in it. And it took a few tries, but she fired right up. So it did run last year, but it's been sitting for probably over a year now. It's been sitting definitely over a year. So it took a little convincing. We had to get new spark plugs for it, and she fired up though. So we hooked it up to this disc. So we've had this disc for a long time. This disc has been around longer than the TD-14 has been around. So this disc is probably from the 1940s. Ah, yeah, and she's dead. So we're gonna have to go get the Polaris Ranger. She lives! Running a little rough. Look at this gal go. She's a natural, folks. She is just killing it out here. I like barely even had to show her what to do. She just knew what to do. She's awesome. Yeah, we're just disking up her arena. It's doing a pretty good job.